Hi, Ma. So
Hello.
we're here on this beautiful Sunday, a time change. We're here at 11 o'clock in
With
the
the happy
morning.
Karva Chauth
With a happy Karwa Chauth for everyone.
to all of you.
To everyone. That's so exciting. So,
Yes.
what exactly are you feeling this Sunday as we gather in the morning?
I'm thinking it's nice to change things around
Yes,
because
Ma.
the soul self is always looking for something more exciting, more loving, more fun, and it wants to experiment because it knows it's in the material universe only from the time the body is taking its first breath and till the last breath. And so the soul is dancing, dancing, and energizing us, creating new vibrations, new thoughts, activating the witness self, activating the brain to reconnect you to your beautiful other patterns of consciousness, that what are you born to do, why are you motivated either to become a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer or sometimes a painter, an artist, and sometimes a social worker. So everybody is inspired when they listen to their soul self and in conjunction with their own mind and brain, and also with the witness self. The witness self is showing them. So the witness self is activated by our five senses. The eyes are seeing, I'm talking and hearing at the same time, then I'm smelling, I'm tasting, and I'm touching. So all these activities are co-joined to connect you to your witness self, and the witness self is then giving the information and making you respond, and it's all in very minute mini millisecond that you are connecting to all these aspects, and the brain and the mind are really working in conjunction with the soul to give you an experience that life is bringing on. And that's how we are connecting to other people's soul selves, and we are saying we are soul unified
Soulmates?
soulmates as well.
Soulmates, yeah.
And people are saying that I want to be finding that other part of myself that is lost in a previous lifetime. I get many of those people who say that they don't have that transferring that consciousness to the world because they're still lonely. Sometimes they're depressed, sometimes they're unhappy, sometimes they're very confused with the people that they're living with, and sometimes they're just not adapting to the environment, to the place. I had somebody yesterday who said that I'm in Austria and I'm feeling really, really terrible because I don't like it here. And I'm thinking, wow, what a beautiful country, and beautiful people and beautiful culture, history. There's so much to do. And still, the person was saying that he's not inspired. So obviously his soul wants to be somewhere else, or maybe the loved one somewhere else that he's pining to reconnect with and all. So we are always seeing people dissatisfied with their life stories, and sometimes they don't know why they're dissatisfied. Sometimes they know and they can't do anything about it, and sometimes they're helpless because they can't change things. But when you come to healing, it's actually a soul to soul connection with the divine light and the divine himself, and then the immediate response of a human when the human is connected to that euphoric presence of divine grace, that everybody finds the immense change in their life, and they recreate their life story, their history, their karma changes, and soul groups, birds of a feather flock together. So they find their soul groups, they find their soulmates, they find their connection with the divine, and the guru is the highest connection of their life, and they have fun as they're walking through life and listening and hearing and tasting and touching and seeing, and vibrating with fondness for the world that they're living in, and they're sharing. I find people who get connected to healing very, very strongly, soul aligned, even with planet Earth, and they're all willing to do something extra, something more that they would like to give back to the world, and they progress well, and it's great unification of the light with the people and with you as the pivotal point of that circle. So you can talk about the circle of life, you can talk about the circle of friends, you can talk even of the circle of enemies. Sometimes we are with inimical souls. Who are inimical souls are only those that we owe something from a previous life, and we feel that they've cheated us, taken something from us that was valuable. But the reality is that in a previous lifetime they gave you something and they're just, taking it away. And if it's a friend, you're willingly giving it. And, it could be the same amount of money that you're not willing to give to somebody who's a part of your soul circle. So we have to hold hands. In healing, we have a very, very important healing method that I call the circle of healing, and where we all hold hands. And when I see the energies, it's like a cyclotron, the vibrations immensely vibrating around planet Earth, and huge leaps of progress when we do that healing pattern. And it's all about having association with other human beings, touch to touch, hands to hands. Of course, in COVID times, we haven't been practicing
too much.
We've been just doing our own
hand
circle, making our own
love and
circle.
light.
Yeah.
So with that touch to touch, just as you did that
Heart
beautiful heart to heart vibration,
Swinging in the ocean of love.
that I was reminded of a Greek, mythological concept of the soul, where that actually the soul or the essence of man was actually like two bodies joined together. So we had 4 arms, 4 legs, 2 heads, and then I think was it Zeus, or is that the Roman gods? I'm getting confused. But basically that the gods got angry and then they split the soul apart, and then we are all sort of searching
For us.
so we're all searching for that amputated part of our soul self. So is there any truth to that, and what do you see clairvoyantly? And
When we are born, we are completely whole and complete.
Yes.
And we are in oneness with ourselves and our connection with the divine. And then when we get, separated from our mother at the time of birth, remember that for 9 months we are alive in the womb, right? And we are very intelligent. We have a communication network with the divine. We are having conversations.
Yes, and we are being inspired to come to
this world, to do the things that we have to do. And there are these seed programs that are installed in our physical, brain somewhere, where they're going to be activated with all the nutrition that we are going to get from the mother's body. And then finally we learn how to drink milk and eat, and we grow up, and we have many milestones of interaction with the world that we live in.
Yes,
And finally I think that what I found very interesting in my clairvoyance is that when I see couples together in my office, I find that some of them have a beautiful ring like a heart shape. And when they move away from each other, then one part of the heart moves with one part of that, that beautiful shape, curve.
Yes.
And it's part of their aura anatomy. And when they move away, then it's, they have 2 halves. And I think by the time it's, a few energy flowing, and then they become an oval elliptical circle of their energy field. And sometimes I find that couples come to my house when they're not, come for a reading, and when they're not so much in love, not so connected from a previous lifetime, they have independent, they don't merge together. So I think that somewhere it is, it is historically documented that, people who do find their soulmates are so merged that they are part and part of each other.
So that's very interesting, that what you're saying is that when there is that deep soul connection, either from a previous life or even in this life, if the souls have met for the first time, that they create this sort of energetic circle of love and connectedness. And sometimes people could be in a relationship or married, or they could be partners living together. They could even be having sex, but that circle of love in their aura and energetic field doesn't exist. It's not merging.
Yeah.
So are there any sort of ways in which we can recognize our own completeness with our own soul self and be...
Yeah, we are very complete, and when the child is growing up, is feeling very, very complete till the parents start yelling and screaming and shouting and saying, don't do this, don't do that. Recently, I had seen this grandchild who had come with the grandmother. For the half an hour that she was in my vision, she was telling him what not to do. And I was thinking, if only that half an hour she had inspired and motivated and communicated to that child. That child was a super, super intelligent child. And, he was being just dwarfed by all that instruction of don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. So I think that starts to shrink the aura and the independence and the confidence and all, because we are all very majestic when we are born. I've seen newborn babies whose auras are very, very big, and sometimes I found mothers who are pregnant who come to see me, the child's aura is bigger than the mother's aura. So it's very interesting that the soul will also bring its whole energy of spiritual content, and then will gift that to the mother at the time of birth, because I think I've said this before in a Sunday Collective, that at the time of birth, they are looking, when I look, I find that at birth, the aura divides of the mother and the child 50-50. So both of them get a little part. That's why mothers are very attached to their children.
Yes.
Because that's the gift that the child, the soul, brings for the mother from the spiritual universe.
That's a lot to sort of even think about our own connections to, our biological mothers, and how we've been created from, at least our bodies have been created from that body. And then today, as we, celebrate here in India and around the world, the Indians that are around the world celebrate the festival of Karwa Chauth, which is for the long life of their husband or partner. And, many husbands also keep now this fast in a modern sense. So just taking that as an inspiration and a cue for this discussion of being grateful for the soul, that is these soulmates and soul groups that you talked about at the beginning of the session, or just sort of alluded to in the beginning of the session, that is it always romantic? Like you've given us like how the romantic soul, and then you've given us the mother and child combination of the soulful connection. So can someone have a soulmate that isn't romantic and isn't sexual in nature, but just could be a guide or a mentor? Or
could be a guide or a mentor. And sometimes even with siblings, I find that there is this soul relationship, and that becomes like loops like this, it's like loops like this. So the elliptical circle of one is merged with the elliptical circle. It's like a cycle chain, like it's intertwined.
Yes.
And I find that those siblings have great, like supportive systems, and they're going to be lifelong, very supportive, very loving, and very inspiring for each other. And I find that those families really stay very long together. And then there are other siblings that I find that are breaking away from the chain, and whoever is on their side is going to go with them, and whoever's on this side of the chain will stay with the other person. So sometimes, there will be people who will come, my younger brother really loved me, and now he's on the other side. And, I have to tell them that, his chain and his interlocking for you in the family structure, it comes through association of that soul group. And you have finished your karmic destiny of happiness with them. And now there is some reflection of pain and separation and anguish, sometimes even financial loss. And that comes from the fact that they are on that side of the chain of interaction, and they're going to soul groups, like I said, birds of a feather flock together. So they are of a different feather, and they are vibrating at their own frequencies. So that's how soul groups disappear. And yes, there are sometimes husbands and wives who come together, even people who get married and then they're not very compatible, and then they go their separate ways. So we may have a history, somebody could be in loveless marriage and be abused for 40 years and then separate, and somebody could be 4 years and somebody could be 4 months. It depends on when the souls recognize that this is not it. And I always advise souls that instead of fighting in courts and all, you should just very compatibly move away, because, if there is no karmic destiny left, then is the husband going to give you alimony, or are you going to give him palimony? No. So you're then going to keep fighting in court till the judge decides no. And then it'll be over. So
amicable and respectful
separation is very advisable.
Is very advisable, be it in a legal sense, karmic sense, social or emotional or economic sense.
Yeah.
I think that is really a brilliant, very highly applicable and eureka moment for me as well, because I'm just thinking even from a business relationship perspective, that when there is no more give and take left, then the best way to leave those business associations and partnerships is amicably and respectfully, and have like a charted out exit plan that is not trying to hurt each other. So where does the soul in this context, may I ask a question?
Yes.
That in this context, and where is the soul, is the soul ever then feeling betrayed or hurt or pained, or is that just our mental and emotional bodies connected to our physical body? So could you tell us a little bit more about that,
because I remember that I said that the grandmother was telling the child, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. So that child's soul has gone to rest a little bit, because his mother's telling him Dadi is the best and you have to love her, you have to respect her, and he sees that his parents love and respect this grandmother. So he learns to respect, but there's a certain anguish in his heart where he is being trained to say, don't do this. So when he grows up, he's also going to tell people, don't do this, don't do that, I don't like this, I don't like that. So that symphony of I don't like and don't do becomes a concretized thought of misfortune. That's why I always tell people that if you can't empower someone, don't negate, don't be harsh, it's better to part ways and move on. So what happens in that synchronicity of information that you're giving to the other soul, the soul is going to have its cup full. And then when that cup is overflowing, then that whoever is that other soul, whether it's the grandmother, whether it's the parents, could be the barrier. The grandmother could be the barrier for even the child to interact with the parents in a harmonious and loving and compassionate and grateful way. So souls will part ways, and they will do their own story writing. Like recently I had one lady who used to come to me, and she had separated from her husband, and her husband was in another city, and then she used to always tell me, I think he's living with his girlfriend, and I should send the court orders for him to appear, this, that. And then I used to always tell her that, I see your children living with your husband very happily. So she would ask me that, where am I? I don't see you with him. And it's the story has a tragic ending that she passed away with COVID.
Oh.
And the husband is now, very happily got his children. He's very friendly with the mother-in-law, and the children are very happy with the dad. So it's
that's a bit shocking.
Yeah, it's very shocking. But that's how soul group destinies do impact when we are very revengeful I
Yes.
think revengeful
Or
is the right.
venganza, like
vengeance.
vengeful.
Vengeful.
Yeah.
So she was taking revenge
वो
from
बदले की भावना,
हाँ.
हाँ, बदले की आग.
that revenge from a previous lifetime, and then the children had maybe 3 4 5 years of separation from their father. They had some anxiety and all, and now they're back home with their dad. And everything's good, everything's forgotten. And interestingly enough, they just did a Zoom call with me, and they had the biggest picture I've ever seen of mom hanging on the wall. And the husband said that I always loved her, I don't know why she went away. So that was very,
So was the vengeance just in her head, or did you?
Yeah, I think that there was something from a previous lifetime that just didn't let them be together in love and
in harmony.
harmony.
So now the question is that as healers, when we do see these patterns unfolding in our own lives, the lives of our loved ones, our siblings, even sometimes our parents, outside in society, what is the kind of healing? What is the shape and form of this healing that we should channel? Or especially, in your lineage, you've empowered us with My Golden Cloud, the KQ Force and Reiki. So how do we go about it? And of course other lineages as well. If you could tell us a specific as well as a general for all healers, because I'm sure there are others who are tuning in who maybe have their own spiritual practices.
What was the...
That with this vengeance and with these emotions and with the kind of, the pain and the hurt in these soul groups that occur because of our material nature. Because from what you're saying, and especially last Sunday also, as we've gone through these gratitude series with gratefulness for the body and the mind and the spirit, and now we're at the soul, that my understanding is that the soul is now even beyond the spirit, because the spirit is very much attached to our material connection and wants and needs, and the soul is completely this compassionate, empowered being, empathetic. So when we are facing these challenges of hurt and pain, what is the action as healers specifically, is my question, that we can really channel and take forward?
I always tell people that the instrument of our breath is our lungs, and the instrument of our mind is our brain. So just as we do pranayama in yoga, and we do all kind of body movements, and we go for long walks, maybe some people even go to the gym to take care of their cardiovascular system, the same way we have to also look after our brain. Because sometimes I find in my teachings and also in my seminars and also in the sessions that I do with people on a one-on-one, whether I'm reading from the book of karma or whether I'm doing just an aura guidance of what's happening in this particular lifetime. So I find that people who are very anguished, who are very depressed, who are very angry with the way they are being treated and all, sometimes it's just a nutrition deficiency.
Oh, wow.
Which has resulted from a sequence of karmic associations of broken relationships from previous lifetimes. So I always advise them that there are 7 foods that they must eat to replenish the energy of their brain. And the first one is amla, it's gooseberries, right? It's very high in amino acids and things, and even if you get a murabba or you make a pickle, the salt and sugar does not allow the nutritive value of that fruit to be destroyed. So every day I really recommend, and it's brain food because it goes into the brain and it actually sends messages to restrict inflammation in the body. So, if you have inflammation in the heart, you'll have diseases. And if you have inflammation in the brain, then you'll have things like dementia and Alzheimer's. So you're protecting your brain, which is the instrument of your body, to be healthy. The second thing I do recommend that people should have every day for their brain health is yogurt. So it has certain enzymes, lactobacillus and things that go through the intestines, and they improve your gut health. And again, it does not allow inflammation to grow in your body.
It basically encourages the gut biome to be very with healthy bacteria. So what I guess abroad people have probiotic. We call dahi or curd or yogurt. Yes.
Right?
Okay, so that's number 2. That's great.
And the third food for the brain is nuts. I'm not saying that you eat them and go nutty, but all kinds of, what do I call them?
Dried fruit.
Dried fruits, like even grapes and even apricot and even almonds and walnuts and
peanuts,
and
pine
cashew
nuts.
So all the tree nuts are very, very good because they are very good food for the brain, and they will get the mind to function at a level where your soul is very, very happy. The fourth thing is, of course, ghee. Superfood, clarified butter, or even butter. You can have nut butters and you can have nuts, or you can have ghee. So that is the fourth, because all the protein in your diet is going to ride on a fat molecule to become food for your brain. So it's very, very, very important.
So even white butter or I remember traveling to Paris once, and they had this very fancy grass-fed milk butter. So I guess that's what's white butter here in
the
India.
Indian homes we all
have access to it,
and we make it at
home.
We are so expert,
yes.
So now we've got to number 4.
5. So that was number 4, and now we're going to get to number 5.
And 5 is all the beans, whether it's rajma, whether it's chana, whether it's all the dals, the lentils, and whether you make it into hummus, or you make rajma chawal, or you make any of the dals.
So any and all lentils and pulses and dals
are very, very important for your brain health.
Okay.
And
wonderful.
Number 6 is all the citrus fruits.
Okay.
And I don't recommend that you have
a juice.
I recommend that you eat at least one citrus fruit. If you don't have access to it, then half a lemon squeezed in
a glass of water is also sufficient.
Very, very important for the inflammation in your body to go down. And guess what is the 7th one? It's green tea and kahwa.
Oh, wow.
Or loon chai or whatever. Not the milk. Black tea is good, black coffee is good.
Okay.
And just to have...
So again, for the antioxidants and the anti-inflammatory purposes. So it's actually all anti-inflammation.
Yeah, it's all about not having inflammation in your body. And then the soul is very, very happy. It dances as a ring of golden light throughout your body. And so there are no obstructions, no chaos, no sadness, no depression. These are all antidepressant foods, let me tell you, and the brain is very rejuvenated. And I'm not telling you to have a cup full of nuts, just a handful is good.
Or even 5 to 10 mixed nuts is good,
nuts.
Ma? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And berries also, I think, when we were little, it's like even the dried grapes and, cranberries, what they are talking about. Then we talk about, let's go for goji berry. No, all these things that I'm talking about are in an Indian home, in the kitchen. And garlic and ginger is also very important with haldi. They're also anti-inflammatory. So maybe they're 8. Yeah. Turmeric, ginger, and garlic.
Would be the 8th altogether, the anti-inflammatory aromatics that we would call them.
You flavor
food with.
Flavoroids or whatever.
So it actually quite synchronizes that you can make your lentils and you can temper it with ghee, with ginger, garlic and turmeric. So you have
add a few nuts.
Add a few nuts on the side, and then as a dessert have a citrus fruit.
Yeah, and nowadays people do talk a lot about whole grains, oats, brown rice. Those are also good to add to your diet.
I think if you can afford it, but especially I think all over the atta roti is really good. Like whatever is your regular, and if you are
grain,
and if you're rice eaters, then your local rice that is grown in your states, especially in India, every state has its
own grains like
own
bajra
grains
and
bajra
and
jaw.
ragi, whatever
Absolutely.
you're used to from your childhood. Go for it. It's good. But
Oh.
don't complain, don't criticize, don't tell people what not to do. Tell them what to do. With compassion, with love, with affection. And then we're going to be really, really all happy.
So these are great, like 8 tips for everyone for the brain that will then lead to a happy, soulful connection. But I will repeat my question that as healers, what can we heal for the emotional, mental traumas of others or ourselves? Forget others. Let's start with ourselves.
Yeah, so that's where I was starting, that your lung tips are where you feel self-love. So I teach that in all the seminars, that your lungs are very, very, very important. So healing the lungs and the heart, because the heart is nesting very close to the lungs and is the support system for your body to take the oxygen, pump the blood and bring the carbon dioxide out of your body, right? The antioxidants are also about cleansing your body. And then the second is, of course, your brain. Your third eye chakra, where it's the intuitive self, the witness self, and your thinking self. The thinking self that is seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, all that activity is happening in the ajna, the agnya chakra, which is the controlling gland at the center of your forehead. And it's helping you do all the work. And it's even activating your pituitary and your hypothalamus and the pineal gland, and everything is in synchronicity and working. And all the foods that I told you are going to activate that chakra and going to make it very, very vital for your mental health, for your eyesight, for your ability to smell, for your ability to taste, to have enough saliva in your mouth, and to hear. And then everything will be fit and you will be energetic. And there will be no toxicity in your mind, because you know what is the first repercussion of toxicity is that you are getting very, very hurt with how people are behaving with you. And then finally it's about causing cancer and causing diseases and causing heart failure. So you remember that a lot of people die because their heart fails eventually, and the other is kidney failure. So kidneys is relationships. So coming back to Divya's question, I would really advise people to do a lot of healing on the lung tips, and for people to have the ability to respect and to have gratefulness in their hearts. So if you respect others for whatever they may be doing, and you're grateful for the association that you have with them, then your kidney chakras are healed, your lung tips are healed, and the heart is automatically healed. And then we go to the lovely third eye chakra, that is seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, and touching everything, the truth.
And witnessing and recording as well.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. I think that's like, I want to clap at that. That's like such
so easy.
Amazing. Easy to identify, because you have identified it for us. But it is like a great way to take responsibility for our own
health and wellness and respect others.
And respecting others. And that is what I think will lead to my next and probably the final question, because today we are here only for 60 minutes, 1 hour, and we're already at 11:40.
We can open it up to other people.
Yes, so
ask
questions. So yes, so just letting everybody know who's joining in live that please do, post your questions on the comments section, like on the live comments, and I will try and get to as many as I can before we have to go. But before I ask my question, which is leading to all these things that you've told us, whether it's the healing, whether it's the food, whether it's the nutrition, and so many other things, that it feels like, ma'am, you have given us so much knowledge, condensed so much knowledge in just a short period of time. That I do want to go into what is soulful activity and soulful experiences. And do soulful experiences have to be connected to our senses and our body in this life? Or is it something more that we don't know about and you're going to reveal? But before that, there are 2 questions that I did see in the beginning of our session. So may I go to those questions?
No, I'm saying I'll answer this first, right? That
Okay.
soul is always watching.
Okay.
And the instrument of the soul, just like we have the instrument for our breathing is the lungs, and the instrument of our mind is the brain. The instrument of the soul is to speak the truth. So when I see somebody eating something that they should not be eating, say it's a diabetic, and they're eating and eating and eating and eating, the soul is speaking the truth inside their third eye chakra. The witness self is saying don't. The ears are saying don't. The eyes are saying don't. The smell is saying don't. But the tongue is very greedy. So again, coming back to what can see, the tongue has two actions. One is eating, swallowing, tasting, and the other speaking. And when you're speaking untruth, the day a diabetic can speak the truth that this is not good for me, they've gone to the doctor and they've heard that this is not good for me, they're immediately going to stop. There's going to be no greed. There's going to be no, and the tongue is definitely connected to the third eye chakra, to the heart chakra, and to the kidney chakras. So whether it's a heart patient, whether it's a diabetic, we are always wanting all the things that are not good for us. So at a very strong basis, when somebody gets connected to healing, they really wake up to the truth. So it's an awakening, that the soul is celebrating, it's dancing, and it's euphoric, and it comes to rest in the heart and to rest with the divine, and knows that I'm now completely satisfied. I'm not going to be, tortured anymore. What is the torture? That you're not listening to the soul self. So that is the torture. And the only way you can truly connect your soul self is through compassion and gratitude and speaking the truth to yourself, not to the world. I don't want you to start going telling people, oh, Renooji said I have to speak the truth, so I have to tell you everything. No, it's about having conversations with yourself, to really listen, to really act upon what your soul is telling. So the soul is always speaking through the truthful tongue.
And then that becomes a soulful experience.
Yeah, where you're in touch with your dynamics inner self, where everything is good and healthy and makes you smile. And there is no limitation to what you can achieve. Because
I think you always make things so easy, but they are so profound. So very grateful for that.
So what were the other questions?
So we have Ashish Bhatia who's asking a question. He says, Ma, how is the soul identified and birthed?
The soul is not identified. The soul helps you to be birthed. It's a soul-to-soul connection with the mother and father, and an invitation. And then the soul arrives and it enters the womb through the sperm and the egg. There's the nuclear explosion and it's matched. And then the mother is pregnant, and then the soul is dancing and saying, I'm going to get a body. And then it's in conversation with the divine, saying, what all do I have to do? Okay, I have to punish this one. Okay, I'll do that. Okay, I have to hate this one. Okay, I'll do this. I have to forgive this one. And will I get liberation? Yes, I'll get connected to healing, and then I'll just be able to heal. I won't need to punish and hate, and I can just dance and forgive and forgive and forgive, and help other people also to receive the healing and to forgive. So a healer becomes, previously I used to say, we are Reiki channels, and we are KQ Force karma healers, and we are the golden cloud spreaders of the light. But now I call everyone one word, and that is that you're a transmitter, or you're a satellite. You're high above and away from planet Earth, and your energies are just covering the globe, and you are very magnificently healing every soul, every leaf, every blade of grass. There is no distinction and no contradiction that I'm not going to heal this one. It's unconditional. That's what healing is all about. So just like your phones tell you, okay, now you've reached Bangalore or you've reached Delhi, you've crossed the border, you're in Maharashtra, wherever you're going. So you're going to take that as an indicator of, having reached your destination. Supposing you're traveling from Delhi to Maharashtra, then, you're going to cross Rajasthan, and maybe you're going to cross Gujarat, and then if you're driving. And so then there'll be a little note on your thing. So the satellites, when you become satellites, those milestone messages come to you through your third eye chakra, and then sometimes you'll be satisfied that this person has received the healing, they were open to it, and it's complete. And sometimes you'll get the message, heal on, the person's not open yet to receiving. So give more, because there's so much debris in the aura that it's, first the light has to go to move the debris, the obstacles, the hurdles, the inaction, the procrastination, the laziness that some souls have. But a healer doesn't see that. It just sees with compassion that the soul needs more and more and more, and you keep healing.
Understood. Absolutely understood. Very clearly, Ma. And then we have Annie who asks, Anahita, she says, "Good morning, Ma. Love you so much.
Love you, Vinta.
What if an amicable exit and parting is not possible no matter how hard one has tried?" I think this is going back to the middle of the conversation
about the divorce
or the separations in relationships. And
Yeah,
Mayu had
then
said
you-
that the best way is to be respectful.
and
But
part.
Annie's asking that what if an amicable
Then you have to
exit...
fight in court. Then the lawyer, you owe some money to the lawyer, and you owe some money to other people. So you'll have to keep at it. They'll pay, you'll pay, and the fight will continue. And then we'll see if you do sufficient healing. Then at the end of it, finally, it's always an out of court settlement.
Okay. Wow.
Because they'll, the judge will also say go to mediation.
Yes, and I know a friend of mine, ma'am, not in a romantic sense, but their family has been in mediation court for a property for now more than 25 years.
Yeah, and the judge is not
ruling. Yes, because I think the judges don't want to rule because then it'll become a precedent. Is that what it is?
And
then
sometimes they feel that the person who's demanding is also unfairly demanding, right?
Oh.
Supposing a child is demanding a share of property from the parents, the parents maybe feel that the child has been inappropriate, or
especially if it's property of the parents that is
Self,
self-generated, not historical from grandparents.
Yeah, and sometimes I've also come across cases where the child has taken the properties to do his business, and then has just taken over the properties and is sitting in them or doing business in them, and then he's not giving anything to the parents back. And ousting the parents. So it's all karmic. Finally, you have to understand that you have to do healing on the kidney chakras for relationships. You have to do healing on the heart and the lung tips for self-love and compassion to be ignited. And then finally, you have to do healing at the third eye chakra, that you have the wisdom, the intelligence, the knowledge, the understanding, and the information to take the right decision. And finally, the right decision is always the bitter truth.
And that's what makes it a soulful experience. How you connect everything, Ma. It's just beautiful to be in this presence of the Sunday Collective with you and everyone else. And I'm so grateful.
I'm really loving this morning time. It's very refreshing, because when I'm sending out the healing, I'm finding people are really alert in a way and genuinely listening.
Oh, wow. So do you think that we should prepone it?
5 p.m. is good.
Good. 5 to 7 is good.
5 to 7 is
but
good.
This is a new flavor.
New flavor. Sometimes we do this.
Yes, why not? And
of course, we are going to meet people from 4 to 8 today, right?
Yes, so we have an open house Karwa Chauth Katha and celebration for those of you who don't know about it. So you can, join in if you want, and I will put up the Zoom details and the password on ma'am's Instagram feed.
Or you can give Pradeep's number right now and they can call.
Okay, ma'am, what is his number? I don't know.
9811141447.
Okay, so I heal everyone got that.
Yeah.
And so we have another question from Maneet Kaur, who asks that do twin flame soul connections exist?
Yes, of course. I have a twin, and we have been born from the same womb, and we are, identical twins. And so, yes, twin flames do, and sometimes they are birthed in different countries, in different wombs, and then you have this deep attraction, and you keep looking and looking and looking and saying, where's my twin flame? But it's not necessary that everyone who's born in planet Earth has a twin flame.
Okay.
So some of them, some.
I think it's quite rare, I would
Very,
imagine.
very rare. Very,
Very
rare.
rare.
But a lot of it is being promoted as spiritual talk, and that I'm looking for my twin flame, and it's a romantic, and your twin flame is looking, and I have these visions, and I'm really going to go search on the beaches of Goa, and sometimes people tell me, my twin flame is living in the mountains, and can you see him? And I have to say,
No, honey.
Your twin flame is right here in Delhi at home, and it could be your dad that you don't like. So twin flames are those people that are living with you, I would say, that you have to harmonize your relationships with.
They're not something outside. And in fact, I was just thinking about this phrase twin flame, especially with my research with Vedanta and, in Indology, that there is in the 70s a lot of, free flow travel from the Western countries that came to India and absorbed a lot of knowledge and were very curious. And I think they took back certain translations of certain philosophical and religious concepts, which one of them happens to be twin flame. And so in Sankhya philosophy or yogic philosophy or any other sort of even Advaita philosophy, the twin flame aspect is actually your connection as a soul self to the Supreme Source,
to the
Guru and to the Supreme Source. So it's the twin flame connection or the twin flame meditation. I think they translated as the Guru. The Guru's heart connects and ignites into the student's, the Shishya's heart, and that is the true
illumination, which then goes and rests in the third eye, and then at the crown chakra, it's always effulgent, and the Guru knows his student, and then through that flame, the Guru takes you back to the divine abode.
And that is what is called ascension or enlightenment or liberation.
And it's not other human beings.
Yeah,
it's very pivotal to understand that Vedically it's about finding your Guru.
Your Guru. So your spiritual mentor and teacher. And so that's
but
what
child
could also be your Guru.
Yeah.
So it's just so
multifaceted. You
Yes.
have to expand your third eye chakra and invite into your circle of light and life everything that you love and like, and also things that you don't like because they need to be healed. Otherwise, you're living in the pain. The other person may not even know that you dislike them.
And then we have Gunjan Gupta, who's joining in, and
Hello.
she says Namaskara to you, Ma, and she asks that what is the best prayer for her to do for her husband. I'll repeat that, Ma. She says that what is the best prayer for her to do today for her husband, or even in a daily basis. Please guide, ma'am.
I love you, you love me,
we love everything we see. I love you, you love me, we love everything we see. So that's the best prayer. And we have Mayuri from Bombay, Mayuri Mehta, who says, what is the difference between soul satisfaction and the celebration of the spirit?
The celebration of the spirit is that I think sex is very material, where the celebration of the spirit, if you've had good sex with someone and you're feeling orgasm and everything, and celebration of the spirit, the soul
satisfaction.
Soul satisfaction is when you are connected to the divine sound, to prayer, to chanting, and you are celebrating the divine.
And that will lead to soul satisfaction. And the celebration of the spirit is connected It's connected to our material senses.
It could be food. It could be a nice orchestra. It could be visiting Louvre and admiring the artworks. That could be very orgasmic. Or you could be creating a song or a piece of music, or expressing your spirit self, which is in ecstasy and is in creation. And that is a combination of your hara, which is your sex chakras, where all life is created, in symphony with the third eye chakra.
Now that's so interesting, because if we look at like the modern Western liberation or project of ideology, and especially if I look at my art history from a Western canon, especially Europe, that the Renaissance is always sort of referred to as the celebration of the spirit, of the human spirit.
Yeah.
And if you look at humanism and other philosophies that sort of predated it and become
Picasso
foundation, foundation stones for that. Nobody's saying that the artwork was very soul satisfying.
But you could have soulful music.
Yes, you could have soulful music.
But not soul music.
But yeah, you have soul music in the South and North America.
Karnataka also.
Yeah, in Karnataka
Carnatic
also.
sound is
It's
very
very
soul
soulful.
inspiring, because it connects you to celebrating the divine.
Okay, so that's why a lot of music around the world, whether we look at Northern America, like soul food, soul music, like Cajun food is also known as soul
All the
food.
5 foods I've given you,
Yeah,
7, 8, 9.
9, 10. So all of this can be the soul satisfaction. So that's true, that when you listen to certain
truth.
music, the truth.
That is connecting you to the divine.
Divine.
If you have prasad, which is offered to the divine, and then you have it, it's soul food.
So the celebration of the spirit can transform to something that is soul satisfying.
Yeah, if
That's very interesting.
in Vedic times, they used to say that you have to have sex with your partner only to create a beautiful child. Even in Israel and all, they will go to the baths and then they'll come purified. They'll have saltwater baths, and the husband and wife will prepare to invite the soul, because having sex is about inviting the soul to be impregnated and for it to be a spiritual. So that could be a soulful celebration of even having sex. It could be, but it's mostly people are having sex just for spirit pleasure.
Sensual pleasure.
Sensual.
Wow. That just unpacks it. So I'll just take, I think, ma'am, one more question.
Okay.
With your... There are 5, 6 questions. There are many questions.
Tell me.
So what should we do, ma? What
We'll
is your
take them.
guidance? Okay, so I will quickly run through them. So we have Malika Shukla, who asks how to get rid of a grudge one may have for someone and restore the relationship. Any specific practice is what Malika asked. So Malika, of course, we did go into this in great detail just a while back. So I will request Ma to summarize it maybe for you and others who are just joining in.
Get connected to healing if you're not already connected. And if you are connected, then do the forgiveness in the divine Reiki light from the heart. And maybe it's time to invite them for a cup of coffee and maybe even ask for a compatible association where there's no more remorse and regret about the past.
And I think the biggest question one has to ask is that why do you want them back in your life? And is it like Ma said earlier in today's session that was all that hurt and pain imagined from your side? And so if it was, then it's time to resolve and forgive yourself and the other. And if it was not imagined, then what is the purpose of having that relationship again? Sometimes we have to even recognize that
what is it bringing
for you. And if it's not, then time to
and
let
it
go.
In the river of light. And if it's really yours, they'll come back.
Yes. And then we have Sudhir joining in from Bombay, who sent lots of love and pranams and periponas. And he's just very grateful. He says that you have gifted me with a second chance at carving out a wonderful career, which I am working hard to achieve amazing success in. This is my soulful journey, he shares. How wonderful.
Great. Continue, work hard, and do the healing.
We have healing requests from Binu Lad for her father.
Okay.
And for those in his industry who are impacted financially during the COVID times. And we have Sakshi who's requesting healing for her and her family's shop. Then we have a loving message from Bittu Auntie from the Philippines. She says, so beautiful
Love
and
you.
simple, ma'am. Love you.
Love you too, more and more.
And I'm just scrolling through. There's lots of gratitude. There's Mohit who joins in, who says, love you, ma'am. Love you all. We love you too. Mayuri who says gratitude. And healing requests from Sakshi Bejal. Ma'am, please send me healing so that I'm able to take the right decision in my life, she says.
Okay, love you, Mita. You will.
Yes.
Take it after the 30th of October, and planet-wise, everything's so much brighter.
Yes. And then we have a very sweet question from Rajni Auntie, who's, I'm assuming, also celebrating Karva Chauth with her family and her husband. And she asks that, Ma, aaj ka soul food kya banaye?
आज का सोल फूड होता है गोभी के चावल एंड मोठ वाली दाल एंड बूंदी का रायता एंड पनीर पालक पनीर.
Beautiful.
And also the timing for the puja, for those who won't be able to join us, it's from 5:35 p.m. onwards.
Okay, wonderful. And then 5:35 p.m. local time,
Local
so whichever
time,
country
yeah.
you're in, yes. And then we have Niharika who asks that, is alcohol and drugs a superficial way of achieving the celebration of spirit, Ma, that we were talking about with Mayuri?
And some.
Yes, sometimes carnal.
And it's activated from the solar plexus, where there is a lot of greed.
Yes, Ma.
Where there is a lot of desire, greed, addiction, dependency. It's all coming from the solar plexus, which is all below the heart. So you have to do a lot of healing again on the kidney chakras and solar plexus.
Wonderful. And she asks, when is the next healing course? So Niharika, I will privately WhatsApp that calendar to you so you have it with you. And it's, of course, as Ma just said, it's on the website as well.
Renooji.com.
Renooji.com, RENOOJI.com.
Love you all.
And I know that there are many, many loving messages and lots of...
I'm sending you all so much love today.
So sweet.
Be happy.
Yes.